Welcome back. You're watching Point of View on International Women's Day. And our special guest on the program today is Ms. Nona Diya from the Business Coalition for Women of Papua New Guinea. So Nona, give us an overview of the work of the Business Coalition for Women.
So the Business Coalition was established in 2014 and is a not-for-profit organization funded through the Pacific Partnership of the Australian and the New Zealand governments and the International Finance Corporation. It was basically a response from to the private sector's demand for more gender equality and participation, because they saw that having a more diverse gender workplace actually does generate good returns for the organization, and they saw the value in terms of what women have to offer. Not to say that it was discriminative in any way, but it was a fact. So as a result, the coalition was formed. We currently have a board of about 11 organizations, ranging from Origin Energy to ExxonMobil and Steamships Group of companies, as well as the National Catering Services, who are all very active business leaders. Our chair is the CEO of Origin Energy, Ms. Lesieli Taviri, very instrumental and very involved in what we do. What we do is basically look at what are the hindrances that organizations face in terms of employing women, retaining women in the staff, and promoting them in the leadership roles in that company. So we look at services that we try to do to support our member organizations.
Yeah. That's excellent. You said something about leadership. I read a flyer somewhere that you do leadership training. Yep. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Tell us.
So the leadership training is basically looks at the skill sets of the women that organizations identify as potential leaders and have the capacity to excel in their careers, and then they basically identify who those women are, and they put them through our program. The course actually goes through 6 months, but it comes in blocks of 1 week, so pretty intensive. We've had about 100 women pass through that training so far, and of the first cohort that did graduate, it's cohorts of about 20, 12 women have actually raised from their positions, and there is an actual recognition in terms of their growth in the organization. Yeah, confidence, ability to speak, their self-worth, how they perceive themselves in general. It's come a long way. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Nona, tell us about some of the positive feedbacks that you've had. I mean, your organization has got from the other organizations that you guys work with.
Yeah. So that's a good question. In terms of the, some of the challenges that women face in the organization, working women face in the organizations, you look at issues such as family sexual violence. You look at issues such as, safety of women at the workplace and how that can be improved. So what we have done so far, and we've just recently finished the first batch, for instance, for our family sexual violence, how to address family sexual violence at the workplace, a policy that was launched, and training people on how to respond, having a more structured response as opposed to just, a bit of an ad hoc response. So we're trying to build the capacity of organizations, look at how they can support their staff, especially victims of family sexual violence. We try to look at building the capacity of organizations in terms of how they can promote the safety of women in the workplace. And basically, with these type of tools in the businesses, it's basically been viewed as very positive in that so far we've actually rolled out these trainings. Yeah.
So why is it in the interest of business to get behind and support an organisation like the Coalition for Women?
So research has shown time and again that investing in a gender diverse workforce actually does bring about positive returns for an organization. For instance, the Catalyst in 2004, actually the research showed that women in more leadership, women in organizations and more in leadership roles actually did bring about a 35% increase in returns and a 34% increase in terms of shares for shareholders. So it is actually smart business to invest in women and to actually develop the capacity in the organization.
Yeah. You talked before about some of the hindrances, you touched on things like safety in the workplace, and of course there's things that women, if you have a sick child, the absenteeism from family pressures. How much does that impact on businesses?
Well, it has a lot to do. It actually impacts businesses greatly. And what the coalition is trying to do, or the work that we're trying to do, is basically look at these challenges, have a structured response to it rather than an ad hoc. Things like implementing policies that actually allow for flexible working hours, or to actually bring out the best in people, or having structured response to real issues that people, that women, and it can be men as well, face, but it's in a real P&G context. So we look at addressing these issues in a more having a more structured response, and also having, that support system, not just at home, but also in the workspace as well.
Yeah. I just want to comment on that, because people have to realize that every male and female, they face different kinds of security issues. Poverty is different for a man and it's different for a woman. So that's why these types of organizations exist, to actually cater for the difference, isn't it? Yeah. In terms of a man and woman, like in terms of safety, can you tell me a little bit about what kind of security issues a man would face rather than as opposed to a woman?
So that's a good point. Security, for instance, transport. You wouldn't see it as an issue for, security is provided for a company after hours. But then you think about this woman walking into a bus with all men, and how does that impact her, safety? And when we actually did do research into this area, it found that a high percentage of women didn't feel safe on the transport back, for instance. So what can a company do to actually address this? It's small, but because if a woman's safety is actually, compromised, or if she feels her safety is compromised, what then does that mean for her ability to perform at work, her ability to give that extra hour or that extra, effort? It's about thinking about that and actually providing that support adequately. Yeah.
So much to talk about. We could go on and on, but it's time for a quick break now. And when we return, our roving reporter, Isabel Druma, will be out on the streets getting the opinions of the people out there. Back soon.